Ohio State players put on a show at the Pro Day. It made a strong statement to NFL decision makers.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Jay Stevens. During today's show, we will discuss the impact a pro day workout has on a player's draft stock, as well as why people are comparing Reuben Bain and Arvell Reese. But first, Ohio State's pro day has become an annual event for some coaches and executives at the NFL level as they all flock and fly into Columbus, Ohio to watch players like Caleb Downs, Davidson, Igbinosun, Troy Malowell, Tavien Henderson, and others over the past few years go through their own pro day workout to get a final look at them right before the final push heading into the NFL draft. And this year was no different than past years. Ohio State had a lot of guys that were going to be drafted really highly, and they wanted to put on a show in front of all 32 NFL teams. It's a luxury because I saw a picture on Twitter where someone was asking, where was all the buzz and where were all the NFL teams represented at another pro day? Louis Riddick tweeted out a picture saying they're all here because Caleb Downs, Kayden McDonald, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese. I mean, you get the picture. The Buckeyes are full of players. That team is full of players that will be drafted really high. When you know you're going to be drafted high, you know everyone's coming in to see you work. You might think you don't have to go all out. You don't have to put your best foot forward. But remember what we said earlier, maybe about a month ago about the Combine. The pro day is a part of the longest interview process a lot of these guys will ever go through in their lives. And so, yes, the Combine's part of it. Your Senior Bowl is part of it. The East-West Shrine Bowl, that's included too. But so is your pro day. And every Buckeye there did what was needed to put on a show and influence all the decision makers that were at the Woody during the Buckeyes Pro Day. The highlights you may want to say is a Caleb Downs going through on-field drills. Not every person. There were 17 players from last year's team that participated in the Pro Day. Not all 17 did the 40. Not all 17 did all of the measurables, which would have been nice. I think it would have been very beneficial for all of them to go through and run the 40-yard dash or to bench press 225 pounds, do the vertical jump, do the broad jump. I think a lot of people at the NFL level don't value the pro day workouts as much as they used to. Yeah, you want to get your eyes on these players once again and see how they're physically put together after a few weeks removed from the Combine. Maybe somebody was good at the Combine and they gained a few pounds. Maybe somebody was good at the Combine and they dropped some LBs and they dropped to a point that wouldn't be great for them. This is a moment for all these guys. Yeah, they didn't go through all the drills. Caleb Downs did not run a 40-yard dash, but he was, once again, a pro's pro. Igbinosun, to me, is one of those guys that when I watched him during the Combine do some of the on-field drills, and there was a part of it, him and Caleb Downs are doing the same drill, I was impressed, way more impressed than I thought I was going to be with Igbinosun's hip movement, the fluidity in his movements, being able to drop back, keep his shoulders where they needed to be. When he's going back and dropping back down to the hash, flipping left, right, and then turning, doing a 180 and running the way that he was backpedaling, going forward that way. You saw Igbinosun look like the guy that could be a first-round pick. I don't think he's going to be. He's probably a late day 2, early day 3 guy. But if Igbinosun could continue to allow people to forget and influence people to forget that he was very handsy. He is very physical. And at times, he didn't get too many pass interference and holding calls thrown his way because he was being the guy that was the enforcer, and those were penalties that he was committing. If you don't think about that, you look at the technical part of Igbinosun's game, you'll look at him and say, wow, he's really turned the corner. You also had, this is one that really shocked me. When I say it, it's probably going to shock you too. Jayden Fielding was kicking out there, and he kicked some balls from 50-plus yards, and he made a 57-yard field goal. Now, when I saw that, I got a little annoyed on the inside. I'm thinking, oh, so this is still pressure. There's pressure here at the pro day because, everybody's watching you, especially as a kicker. You're the only one on the field. No one kicks at the same time as you. So he's doing this with all these eyeballs. All the NFL teams are there, and he hits a 57-yard field goal. At the same time, I'm thinking in and of myself, it would have been nice if you hit a chip shot in front of 80,000 people to allow the Buckeyes to have a shot to win a trophy. That would have been great. I'm no rocket scientist. I'm not a guy that knows everything, but you would think, well, you're the Buckeye kicker. You have the mental makeup to make that kick. And when you show you don't have the mental makeup to make that kick, the coaches would make a decision to remove you to put somebody else in that has the mental makeup to make said kick. They didn't remove him. It was very clear that he did not have the mental fortitude to make big kicks inside tough environments in high pressure moments. And the Buckeyes lost a game, I know, late in the year because of Jayden Fielding, the kicker, being who he is. Kayden McDonald's another one. Let me not stay on the kicker very long. Kayden McDonald, Kyle Malone Jr., those two guys to me moved like big men that you wouldn't think the way Kayden McDonald moves. Is he really 320 plus? Yes. Tyrell Malone Jr., there were NFL executives and coaches there asking, who is that guy? Now, I'm sure they know who he is, but more so like, he's not really on our radar. But the way he moves, the way he's physically put together, we might have to add him to our D-tackle grouping of guys we might draft because he moves really well for a big man. Here's a bright spot for young guys that were there that aren't about to get drafted. The two quarterbacks throwing during the Buckeyes Pro Day were Julian Sayin and Tavien St. Clair. Julian Sayin, the Buckeyes starting quarterback, he looks like he was just the dude, that dude slinging the rock through the ball to Carnell, Tate, to Brandon Ennis. He just looked like he was that guy. And he was smiling, a big old smile on his face like a kid in a candy shop. Tavien St. Clair throwing the ball, entering year 2 at Ohio State, still in his freshman year of college, and he looked like somebody that belongs. He looks like somebody that's the next man up to be the next QB at Ohio State. I'm not going to go out there and say he's going to be the next starter, even though I kind of want to. But 6'4", 225. I don't know what his listed weight is right now. He was 6'4", 225 heading into his freshman year of college. Now, you're throwing on air, but if what he did with the mechanics, his approach, his drop back, his fault, if he carries all of that over to the field, that's a big-time win for Ohio State. And there are reports from the practice on Tuesday, the Buckeye spring practice on Tuesday, that was Tavien St. Clair's best practice of his career. And so he's not only getting to showcase himself at a pro day, that's also on the heels of the best practice of his young Buckeye career. Hats off to Tavien St. Clair for stepping up and really taking the necessary strides in his career to be the best player he can be. Other Buckeyes that were there, CJ Donaldson, he was there. He was one of the Buckeyes that participated. And I'm not sold on him as being an NFL guy. His workout in the combine didn't really wow me. Carnell Tate did Carnell Tate things. Will Kazmarek and Max Clair are a couple of tight ends that Clair's going to be probably a day 2 pick. Kazmarek's probably a day 3 pick. Not gonna lie to you, Ethan Onyanwa hadn't been on my radar in months, but he also worked out at the pro day. Caden Curry looked very good, looked very smooth in his movements and in everything he did. Sonny Styles, Joey Velasquez, transfer linebacker Joey Velasquez, Igbinosun, Lorenzo Styles Jr., Downs, Fielding, and a couple long snappers, John Furlman and Colin Johnson. I skipped over Arvell Reese on purpose. I'm going to dive deeper into him in the very next segment because as people were tweeting pictures at the Buckeyes Pro Day, there was a picture, a side-by-side of Reuben Bain doing a drill and Arvell Reese doing a drill. And some of the things people were saying didn't make any sense. We'll dive into all of that and why people kind of embarrass themselves with their own analysis of these two players' pro days. After the break, this is Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open when the pressure's on, and you need the right hire. This is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and clear swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes, for making this show a part of your day, and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Get your first month of the Everyday Club for free when you use code MARCH. You'll unlock ad-free episodes and entry into our private listener group chat where I'm hanging out daily. Click the link in the show notes or go to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to claim your free month. As many of you can hear, and those of you that were tapped into the show that came out on Wednesday, there was a little bit of a medical emergency in our family. It did not have to do with my newborn son, and my wife had some medical things that were pretty serious going on. We are back home. The microphone is back in its rightful place. I'm back in my rightful place recording this show. But yesterday's show was recorded in the hospital. So if the video looks a little bit different, if the sound is different, that is why. The belief is that the emergencies are over, and we will continue to record this show as many times as we can right here in this spot with this microphone, the camera, and you and I talking here every single day. Speaking of us talking every single day, we're going to ramp up some of our draft coverage over the next few weeks leading into the NFL draft, because this draft is going to be big. You're going to see potentially 5 Buckeyes drafted in the first round, and one of them is Arvell Reese, a man that's kind of split time on the edge and an off-ball linebacker. He also lined up a little bit in the slot last year for Ohio State. And during his pro day workout, he did D-line drills. He didn't do linebacker drills. And so when I saw him working out with Caden Curry, not Kenyatta Jackson Jr., excuse me, he didn't work out there. Kayden McDonald, Tavien Malone Jr. And when I saw him working out with those guys, I'm thinking, oh, so there's game film on off-ball linebacker and him playing on the edge. Now let's get some on-field drills of him playing on the edge, doing some of the bend work, doing some of the bag work with Larry Johnson. Let's get him working on that stuff, because there's still some people that are thinking that Arvell Reese is a better fit on the edge than he is as an off-ball linebacker. I think he'd be a phenomenal off-ball linebacker. He'd be a dude. He could be a great Mike linebacker. Maybe has a better fit on the edge. I'm sure it's scheme specific and personnel specific, depending on who drafts him. It's going to dictate where he's going to play. But Arvell Reese's workout was about how you would expect. There were some really good moments, but there were moments when you could see that he wasn't someone that was very fluid going around the edge with the bend, because he really hadn't done that consistently. At the same time, there was a picture side by side, don't know who tweeted it out, of Reuben Bain of Miami going around the edge doing a similar drill. I didn't even see video of Reuben Bain doing his drill. I just saw Reuben Bain in the still photo of him doing a drill, going around the bag, and Arvell Reese is going around the bag. One guy looks like he's done it for a long time. One guy looks like he's slowly working into playing a new position, potentially playing a new position. And I don't think that's fair for Arvell Reese at all. I don't think you can look at a workout picture from two guys and say, this guy has it, this guy doesn't. We're drafting this guy. We're not drafting the other guy. I don't believe that's a great way to look at it at all. I never have, and I never will. Because a workout is great, but that's not the end-all, be-all. We'll dive more into that very statement after the break. Because Arvell Reese, to me, I'd play him at off-ball linebacker. I let the man play the mic. Let him call the shots. Let him have the dot on the back of his helmet so you get the communication from the coach off the field to all the other players on the field. He is that mouthpiece. That's what he should be. To me, I would not play him on the edge all the time. I would put him as an off-ball linebacker and let him cook. If you're trying to draft him and maybe you say, is he a project? I don't think Arvell Reese is a project. I just think he's a better fit as an off-ball linebacker. That's just my opinion. But you should never, ever, ever lean into something somebody says because of a picture of two different people that's right in front of you, or maybe it's one picture and you see two different people trying to do the same thing. One guy looks natural, the other guy doesn't. You say, which one would you draft? Well, based off the picture, I'm drafting the guy who looks the best. But also, there's more to a story than what you see in a still photo. Don't fall into the trap of people on social media bad-mouthing Arvell Reese, saying he's not going to be good. Well, he looks a little stiff in this drill. Are people sure he's a first-round pick? Don't fall into that trap. Remember, the Buckeyes might have 5 guys drafted in the first round. Carnell Tate, Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, and potentially Kayden McDonald. I thought it was 5 to be a lock. Recently saw some bites of draft analysts say, oh, no, it's 4 and a maybe. What maybe should be a definitely, because Kayden McDonald at 320-plus pounds, he showed everybody, just like everybody else at the combine, he can get it done. And one thing I think gets glossed over with combines is not only people comparing what one person's on-field workout to somebody else's, but also the fact that you're getting to sit down and talk to some NFL people again for a second or a third or a fourth time. And that's very, very valuable. People want to know what kind of person you are. They want to know what kind of individual they're going to welcome into their locker room. And if you are a cancer, if you are a head case, they might pick that up at the pro day and they may say, oh, no, we're on the edge with you. We're not sure if things are the way we thought they were going to be. We're going to move away from you. Every player at Ohio State had the opportunity to talk to NFL teams. I even saw, I think it was Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. I believe it was Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles that did a stand-up short hit for ESPN with Louis Riddick. Those are valuable too. Those moments are very, very big. The way Caleb Downs conducted himself in a interview, he was standing on the field, multiple reporters were around him, had cell phones, had cameras out, trying to capture all the video and the sound that was coming up in that short little segment, about 3 to 4 minutes. And one reporter came up there at Caleb Downs said, I got one more question that someone wanted to bring up the report of Downs' knee and the issues there that came up at the combine. Caleb Downs joked and said, oh, thanks, guys, I'm done, after the question came up. And then he answered the question. He said, thank you. Another reporter was right there who literally just walked up in the middle of him answering the question about the combine report about Downs' knee. Downs said, oh, I'm done. Thank you. And the guy said, oh, man, I just got here. Caleb Downs said, sorry about that, and walked away. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't rude. He was simply sticking to what he said, thanked him for being there, said sorry about that, and walked away. He knows there is a time period. He knows in his clock, there's an internal clock for him where I'm saying more than enough right now, and I don't want to keep going answering all these questions. Cool, we're done. He knows how to handle his time, and Caleb Downs, to me, is the ultimate pro, one of the proest pros Ohio State has ever had in the Ryan Day era. I'm not going to go back past that far. In the Ryan Day era, Downs might be the proest pro that he has had. It shows up on the field at his workouts. It shows up in interviews. Everything he does, he conducts himself like a pro. Speaking of pros, every draft prospect that is trying to get drafted to the NFL draft in about a month, they're working right now to raise their own draft stock. Well, some guys still have pro day workouts to go through. And is it possible for them to raise their draft stock after pro day, during the pro day workout, and erase what happened in games this past season? I'll answer that question after the break. This is Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment today. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. The biggest stretch of the college basketball season is almost here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, that's bucket list stuff. The hard part is always actually getting tickets. Long queues, prices jumping around, and surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. The seat view feature is a game changer. You can see a panoramic view from your exact seat before you buy. Zone deals let you pick the section and save even more while Game Time selects the seats. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. That's exactly what you want during the busiest part of the season. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Thank you for being Locked on Buckeyes, your first listen of the day. If being Locked on, the #1 sports podcast network. Pro day workouts are fun. It's very exciting. My wife has been able to get deeper into pro day workouts. She likes following players like Caleb Downs, and even on the basketball side, Bruce Thornton, getting to know about them as a player and as a person. And so it gives you a little bit of everything. You get some workouts on the field, some workouts off the field as far as measurable tests, but also you get to hear them talk in interviews. Workouts are fun. Workouts are exciting. But workouts during a pro day or a combine or whenever you're doing them are never the end-all, be-all. They should never be the measuring stick to help teams know what kind of player you are on the field. All of the players, I'm going to go through a list of these guys that have played multiple years at Ohio State. I said not just literally as starters, but literally playing significant roles or even starting at Ohio State. Carnell Tate, multi-year starter. Will Kazmarek, in rotation for back-to-back years. Max Clair, who was the best Big Ten tight end in 2024, comes to Ohio State, got even better. Caden Curry was a longtime special teams player, rotated a little bit last year. This year, he was a starter and led the team in sacks. Kayden McDonald, multi-year player. He was the Big Ten defensive lineman of the year. Arvell Reese, in rotation a year ago. This past season, he was a dog. Started all the time, every game. Sonny Styles, he also was someone, I think was a 3-year starter. Once at safety, a couple at linebacker. Caleb Downs, 3-year starter, once at Alabama, 2 times at Ohio State. All-American, he gets the job done. I go through those players on purpose. You can even throw Jayden Fielding and John Froman in here because they have been big players consistently for the Buckeyes as well. All those players that just went through and listed, they have multiple years of game film where an NFL team, let's say the Browns, are trying to figure out, should they draft Arvell Reese or somebody else? Should they draft Sonny Styles or somebody else? Should they draft Caden Curry? Kick him to the curb. While they're trying to figure out who they should draft, they should never, ever, ever put all the stock into an on-field workout. Doesn't matter if it was at the combine or at the pro day. You should never, ever, ever say that workout in shorts and a t-shirt and gym shoes, and maybe they brought the spikes out for a run. You should never say, this is how I'm going to grade this player to decide if he is a first-round pick or a late second-round pick. That would be very silly, but there are people out there that are on social media that are going to tell you, no. The combine, the pro days, those are everything. It's how you figure out what the player is made of. No, that's not how you do that. You are able to confirm some of the things you heard, some things you believe. You're able to push aside some of the things that you thought were true that aren't. But no. You can't just throw the game film out and say, oh, you got yourself here with the game film, but we don't need that right now to try to decide if you are going to be our guy. We're not going to look at it to study you at all. No, what are we going to do? We are simply going to sit back, kick our feet up, like my dad said when I was younger, getting ready to cut the grass all the time. My dad said, "You're gonna see me out there one day on the front porch in my chair with a glass of lemonade. Just watch you cut the grass, having a good old time." No, don't do that. No. Don't do that. Don't get that relaxed. Study the game film. As we get closer to the spring game, and as we get closer to the start of the season in the fall, we're going to do some film study. And then when the season starts, we're going to have a lot of film study here on this show, discussing things that the Buckeyes are doing, how they were doing them, things that went wrong, why it went wrong, and how the Buckeyes could put a plan in place to fix some things that are happening on the field. Why? Because you get better by grading the film. You don't really get better by, yes, you can grade an on-field workout if you're an NFL scout, but there's only so much you can take away from that. Game film is the most important thing. Most heavily weighted thing for all these players. The one thing I would think, there was advice that I wish some players had. There's nothing wrong with running the 40. You're not going to run a 40-yard dash in the NFL. You're not. You're not going to run 40 yards straight with nobody in your way. You're not going to. Even if you did, you have helmet, you have shoulder pads, you have pants, you have football pants on, you got pads, you have cleats, you have other stuff that's on you that's potentially going to weigh you down. Now the helmets are a little bit lighter than they used to be, and the shoulder pads are a little bit smaller and lighter than they used to be, still giving you a lot of protection. And so that is a factor too. But there were other things. If you were able to run a 40-yard dash at the combine and a 40-yard dash on the field during a game, they'd be completely different. But I still put value, and I think if other guys are going to test it, these are tests that NFL teams are looking at and evaluating and trying to put together and put into your folder of you as a prospect. Is there really anything wrong with running the 40? No. I mean, Carnell Tate's 40-yard time wasn't anywhere close to what I thought it was going to be. He's still going to be a first-round pick, but it's a top 15 pick. Top 10, maybe. We'll see when we get more draft guys on the show to hear what they are hearing and what they are seeing in regards to guys moving up draft boards and guys moving down. Thank you for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and for making this show your first listen of the day. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Buckeyes so you get all the latest episodes. We recently released a show about 24 hours ago in regard talking about Jake Diebler and why he should be the Buckeyes coach next season. I am not the biggest Jake Diebler fan as a coach, but with what he did this year, we discussed what he did, why it was significant, why he should keep his job, and also replied to some comments a former Buckeye basketball player made about Buckeye basketball fans. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Buckeyes ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and more. Head to lockedonbuckeyes.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Basketball. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Thursday. We'll see you next time.